Hi folks, time now for the front drop links, and I've done a bit of cheating here to make life easy for myself. Last night I came out, took both front wheels off, cleaned up the threads on the nuts for each, on the top and bottom of each front drop link, and soaked them in plus gas, got them as clean and left that seeping into the threads just to try and give it as much time to work as possible. I have to say that top bolt there came out pretty easy. You can see it's just about to go pop there, and you can see it's under tension there at the minute as the wheels dropped. So you can see the sort of jaunty angle of the nut. I nearly dropped the camera. So that there nut's just about to come out. This nut here I had good fun with, and you can see my impact gun is down at the bottom there. As you can see, I'm doing this in my driveway. Didn't quite get the leverage on it with a breaker bar, so the impact gun managed to take that off. And what I would say is they've probably been put on with a rattle gun. They've obviously been off to get the lowering springs in. You can see the H&Rs there, and I would say whoever's put them on has put them on too tight and certainly didn't grease any of the threads. But anyway, they're off. That was the only one that really caused me a lot of grief, the lower one, and as you can see they're now finger tight, so that will come off. So if you're going to have a go at doing this, I would suggest try and make life easy for yourself. The night before, day before, take your wheels off, get a wire brush and attack the threads. Get all the rust off that you can visibly see as best as possible, clean them off, and soak them in the likes of plus gas, and fingers crossed you don't have any issues getting them out. You can see that's one nut off there, and as I said, there's a bit of tension here, so I'm almost standing back here before it goes pop, and yeah, fingers crossed you get them off without a problem. You can see that is both bolts off pretty much. I'll get a spanner to finish that one off, and I'll probably end up giving that a wee knock with a hammer or putting a jack underneath the suspension arm here to try and lift the tension off this arm here, and fingers crossed that does the job. Okay, that's the drop link out, as you'll see from that bolt and that hole there, and that's the drop link out. If that helps anybody see, you can see the two nuts that come off as well there. The lower part of that I would say is pretty done, and if you can see there as well, you can see there's a tear in the boot, so any grease is probably long gone now, never mind any dirt and stuff that's got into it. But certainly the lower part of the ball joint is quite rough, so possibly that's the cause of the knocking. Hopefully that's it anyway. And one top tip I would say is watch it doesn't get caught in the top of the shock there. I actually had my dad come out to give me a hand as an extra pair of muscles. What I didn't realise was, just as it sort of half come out, as I undone the bolt there, the drop link had caught just in the top of the shock, just where there's a recess for the spring to sit in. So as soon as I unloaded the suspension, looked at that, tapped it, it come out. So I was sitting there with breaker bars trying to get the thing off and crowbars trying to bend the thing to get it out, and it wasn't happening. I was literally just caught in that wee lip there, so just be wary of that. Anyway, time to get the anti-roll bar there cleaned up and the holes there cleaned up, get the copper grease out and get the new anti-roll bar prepped for installation. Okay folks, you'll see that is pretty much the first front drop link in place. I've it fairly tight, hand tight at that. I'm going to get my torque wrench just to make sure it's done absolutely perfectly. Naturally the threads were doused in copper grease, and so were the surfaces, etc, etc. So we're pretty much good to go that way. And as you can see, great fit, went on much easier than it come off. You can see I don't have any preload on it. I've put a jack under the arm to take any weight off that side of the suspension or corner that way. Just as a note, this is the Meyle HD jobbies. you'll see if I take this nut off quickly on the end of that threaded collar, there isn't actually a hex head, a spline or Torx head on the end of it. These work in a slightly different way, and if you look on this collar just at the bottom, you'll see there's a flat side to it. So to hold it in place when you're tightening the bolt, because you'll find it starts to turn, I'm using a 16mm spanner there just to hold it in place, and you can see that sort of locks it, and that allows you, using your ratchet or whatever device you're using, to tighten down that bolt and stop the whole internal spinning at the same time. So yeah, very easy job, and it come off much easier than the back. So my plan will probably be to get this torqued up, get cleared up for the night, and come back out tomorrow morning to finish off the last one, and see how that goes. Fingers crossed it was as easy as this side. But yeah, that's pretty much it in place. I do have to say, great quality items, especially the HD versions, and you can feel how sort of firm and solid the ball joints are in those HD versions. So very happy so far, and naturally I'll be happier after a test drive that there's absolutely no knocks from the suspension. Fingers crossed that's all it is. Hi folks, finally got the very last drop link off. You can see it put up a fight, it's come out in bits there. Literally cut to bits using the handy Dremel. It was cut in half there, as you can see, just to give me a bit of more access. And the last nut that put up the biggest fight was absolutely cut to bits there. But all come off cleanly, there's no remains left in there on the anti-roll bar or up at the shock there. So yeah, that's all out, bit of cleaning required, new drop link in, job done, and I hope that will keep me going for a while. Yeah, hopefully that video was, the two videos have been of use to you. Basically my tips would be to pay someone to do it for you. If you're a bit too tight like me and wanted to do it yourself, make sure you have the likes of a Dremel, as you can see there, and there'll be cutting wheels with that tool there, is absolutely priceless. Absolute tons of plus gas, which is very useful stuff. WD-40, despite what people use it for, isn't particularly good for releasing nuts. What else? Impact gun there. You can see I have tools galore. Good impact gun can help take things off and loosen things up quite well. And a good hacksaw and plenty of blades. And you'll find things like vice grips are very useful for holding nuts, especially if being rounded off in place that you want to try and get a few spanners on to try and take them off. But yep, they're off at least. Anything else I would suggest buying? Not really. It's one of those things, it takes a bit of patience. If you have any oxyacetylene torches, it would probably make life an awful lot easier. But I'm a have-a-go hero on the driveway, so don't have access to those sort of tools. But at least it's off. Sense of appreciation for doing it, sense of achievement I should say. But yeah, on to the next job. No idea what that's going to be, but hopefully it's nowhere near as difficult as this. As you can see there, that is the drop link and the last one up in place there. Everything's been torqued down and it is pretty much good to go. So yeah, fingers crossed. As I said, there's no more knocks or bumps or rattles out of the suspension. Hopefully that resolves it. But now time for a quick clear up outside here, get things like the under tray back on. I took off 3 of the Torx nuts or Torx bolts there, just to give a wee bit of room to get into that bolt there. But yeah, put the wheel back on, etc, etc, get tidied up, and hopefully that's us done.